In her previous life, Elisa was ordered to be executed in the summer by her beloved father, the emperor. Her eyes were tortured to death. In this life, she was reborn as Princess Aisha of the enemy country. When Aisha turned 1 year old and had her hair done, she was incredibly obedient but unwilling to speak, seeing the worry on her family's faces. Elsa knows it in her heart, but is worried about being abandoned again after having given her heart to her loved ones. Just when Elsa was worried, an adorable little spirit suddenly appeared. The reborn Elsa became a very rare spirit master in legend. The spirits also advised Elsa to let go of the past and speak. But when Aisha thinks of her family from her past life, tragic experiences pass one after another. Aisha gets so scared that she closes her eyes. A pair of gentle hands embraced Aisha. It was Aisha's mother in this life. "Don't worry, you will learn to speak soon. I can wait until the day you speak." The mother asked the emperor to hold Aisha. Even though the imperial father was worried about hurting little Elsa, he lifted her with his mother's encouragement. Elsa felt her father's complete love for the first time. She lay nervously in Teluan's arms. At that moment, the imperial father proposed celebrating a birthday party for Elsa. A day later, Elsa's grandparents, who originally guarded the north, this time they traveled thousands of miles to celebrate her birthday. It was something that should make her very happy. However, her grandfather brought very bad news for Elsa. The northern border just signed a peace treaty, and Itombol is Aisha's country in her previous life. Eaton Bell will send an ambassador to attend Aisha's birthday. Aisha, thinking that in a few days she will meet those who were once her family, trembled with fear. Little Princess Aisha was very afraid of the dark. So she closed her eyes and began to summon the spirits. In the starlight, the elves surround Elsa. Just at that moment, the curtains move. Elsa sees through the window a strange man with golden hair, who suddenly appears. The man makes his entrance spectacularly, surrounded by a golden glow. He is the king of the elves, as legend says. The king of the elves looks at the little princess. "It seems you can really see the elves." At that moment, Elsa is very scared. Why does he know I can see the elves? Should I attract the servants with my cries? Or should I remain silent to save my life? While Elsa considers whether or not to cry, the king of the elves makes a gesture with his hand. It seemed he had read Elsa's thoughts. "You are truly an interesting child." The little spirit who always accompanies Elsa suddenly appeared. He bowed to the strange man. Elsa was stunned. She never imagined that the man in front of her was actually the king of the spirits. The king of the spirits sighed. "It seems I arrived too early." Then he extended his small hand and gently touched Elsa's forehead. "Sleep, forget about today." With the release of hypnotic magic, the blonde man in front of Elsa began to become increasingly blurry. In the end, only the sleeping little Princess Elsa remained. Now Elsa faces a new challenge, which is learning to walk. Elsa does her best to stand up. Because her calves are weak, she can only fearfully support herself with her hands on the ground. Her mother is right in front encouraging her. Elsa, with the help of a servant, she finally manages to stand up. But every step she takes is very difficult. She might have inherited the queen's genes. Elsa is much shorter than her peers. The strength in her legs is not enough. Walking is very complicated for her. Now Elsa can walk alone a maximum of 3 steps. It doesn't matter if it's the servants by her side or her own queen. Everyone encouraged her patiently. The queen, full of expectations, knelt down next to Elsa's mother. Here, at that moment, a memory from her past life suddenly surfaced in Elsa's mind. Her biological mother before rebirth practically never hugged her. She always had an attitude of superiority, unless it was at an official event where she had to act as a mother. Even so, Elsa still feels that that brief hug is very warm and very happy. The image returns to the present. Elsa begins to pant. Her face becomes covered in sweat. Her calves also begin to tremble. The maid beside her asks the princess with concern, "Are you all right?" Elsa is convinced that she can still take a few more steps. The servants and the queen encourage Elsa. "I just need to move forward a little more. I will achieve it." Just at that moment, Elsa suddenly becomes cunning. With a thud, she sat down abruptly on the ground. The servant beside her got scared. At that moment, Elsa leaned towards the ground. With both hands, she slowly supported herself to stand up. Elsa managed to stand up alone. Elsa knew she couldn't give up like this. As long as she kept moving forward, step by step, like now, she could always fall into their arms. This is the first time Elsa sees her grandparents since she was reborn. Elsa opens her eyes and looks curiously at her grandparents. Because Elsa's grandparents guard the north, they had never met before. This time, the grandparents came from afar to celebrate Elsa's birthday. Grandma wants to hug Elsa. He caresses the little princess's face with his hands. His face is full of a kind smile. Then, Grandpa also joyfully extends his finger, teasing Elsa's little face. Just after the queen and her entourage enter the house, the grandfather seemed very worried, because the country of Itumble has recently signed a peace agreement. They have remained relatively quiet. But the worrying thing is that they will send representatives to Aisha's birthday party. This might be the most terrifying thing Aisha has heard since her rebirth, because the Itumble Empire is Aisha's country. Thinking of the tragedy of her past life, Elsa shuddered, praying silently. Please, let them not be the members of the Idenbell royal family. Just at that moment, it seemed Elsa heard the name of a royal family member. She couldn't hold back her tears any longer. Her grandfather stood up immediately, asking what was wrong. What's wrong with Elsa? At that moment, the grandmother directly criticized the grandfather. It's because of your loud voice that this has happened. The queen quickly patted Elsa's back. It's all right. Elsa's mommy will teach Grandpa a lesson. Elsa held tightly to the queen's clothes, showing a wronged expression. Then, the grandfather apologized to Elsa. I'm sorry, Elsa, but all this is the fault of those Eaton Bell guys, right? Elsa nodded. It turns out Elsa also dislikes Eaton Bell. Then, the queen lifted Elsa high. Gigi made Elsa laugh. Little princess, Elsa's first birthday party has finally begun. The nobles of the city are discussing Princess Elsa's appearance. Does she look more like His Majesty or Queen Elsa? The queen and Elsa have put on beautiful outfits. The maids watch with great envy. The queen takes Elsa to the balcony. The sight before Elsa leaves her in awe. The city's sky is adorned with brightly colored decorations. The whole country celebrates Elsa's birthday. At that moment, Elsa's brother arrived. Elsa's brother circled around her. He kept praising Elsa. You look so adorable today. You are undoubtedly my sister. It's truly amazing. Then, Elsa's brother decided to carry her. In the grand hall of the party, people murmur animatedly. Beautiful music is heard. Elsa seems very nervous. She clings to her brother's chest. With her small hand, she tightly grips her brother's clothes. Seeing his nervous sister, her brother comforts her. Smile a little. If you smile, you won't be so nervous. Listening to a soft song. Elsa smiled as she relaxed when the door opened. A resonant voice arrived. Please welcome Her Majesty Queen Alice. Her Highness Princess Elsa enters. His Highness Prince Isis. After Elsa and the others entered, the jubilation of the crowd resounded throughout the venue. This little princess was poisoned and murdered in her own country. She reincarnated in the enemy country and became everyone's favorite. But she saw the ambassador from her previous life. Aisha's birthday party was celebrated with great fanfare. The nobles hoped to get a close look at the princess's beauty. Just at that moment, the crown prince appeared carrying Princess Aisha. Sapphire eyes match silver hair. They are adorable. The little princess became the center of attention upon appearing. Suddenly, a man stood in front of the crown prince, extending his large hand. It turns out the father also wanted to hug Elsa. Then everything will go very well. They also approached Elsa. The holy water brought by the Temple of Light was sprinkled. Then, the nobles offered gifts. Just when Aisha was immersed in the joy of receiving gifts, a sentence plunged her into fear. Next, please let the envoy from Itumble approach. Aisha seemed to have lost her soul. Who would be the envoy from the Itumble Empire? What if it's someone I know? The ambassador approaches and reveals his true face, blue eyes. Could it be him, Lakia? The Itumble ambassador takes off his hat. Under the bright palace, he reveals a delicate face. Little Princess Aisha can't help but look at Alson. At that moment, Elsa already had her eyes full of tears. It turns out this young historian is Elsa's only childhood friend. He is also the youngest high-ranking mage in the Empire. Elsa also didn't expect Idenbell to send him. This made Elsa feel very comforted, seeing him approach with a blue box. Elsa saw the box full of precious stones, expressing doubt. It's a sword. Brother. He slowly raised Elsa's little hand and gave it a deep kiss. My dear sister, happy first birthday, said His Majesty Isis. Do you want to make a knight's pact with Elsa? It turns out this is a unique pact of the Knights Empire. This is different from a common contract. In fact, once the pact is established, one must protect the other forever, even if it means giving one's own life. It doesn't matter. But Sheng Yi has experienced betrayal. Aisha no longer trusts anyone. The human heart changes easily. I don't know when I will be betrayed, so Aisha started to cry. Brother Isis held Aisha's little hand. I've said it before. I will protect you anytime, anywhere. And you are not only my miracle, but also my wish and my luck. I promise I will become stronger so I can protect you well, so give me a chance. Elsa was silent for a moment. Then she showed a confident smile. Your Majesty, take the sword. Now we will proceed with the oath ceremony. This oath not only includes courage, but also the commitment to protect Elsa. With the end of the oath, Isis officially becomes Aisha's guardian. The noble knights applaud enthusiastically. Isis bathes in the warm applause. Happy, he greets everyone. Aisha looks at her brother. Perhaps all my misfortune has come to an end. The tenderness emanating from my father, my mother's affection for me, and my brother's smile. All this makes me feel that perhaps I too can be happy. Princess of the Island. Elsa's birthday party is already coming to an end. My brother took Elsa to see tonight's fireworks show and found the best spot as a streak of red light flew into the sky, transforming into dazzling fireworks. The light generated in the night sky illuminated the faces of the siblings. What Elsa didn't expect was that in the midst of the dazzling fireworks, her own name was written. There aren't many mages in the Emil Empire, and this type, who can dazzle with fireworks of names, is very difficult to do. Aisha felt that everyone had put in a great effort for this party. Immersed in emotion, Aisha thought she should open up. Aisha softly spoke her brother's name, but the loud booming of the fireworks seems to have drowned out Elsa's voice. Did he hear it? If I had known, I would have said it earlier. Elsa secretly watched her brother's reaction, but she doesn't know when. Her brother had already turned his head. Yes, Isis heard it, and a tear fell from his left eye. Elsa, did you call me a moment ago? Isis is very excited. You really said my name, didn't you? Elsa shows an expression of resignation. It was only once that she said his name. Is it so much as to cry with joy? The king and queen arrived hurriedly. The queen, not knowing the reason, asked Isis, what's going on? Aisha spoke again. Mother, the queen, upon learning that Aisha could speak, was especially excited. The king rushed in front of Aisha. And me, you too call me. Aisha smiled slightly. She pronounced her father's name. The excited king hugged Elsa. The whole family was happy and moved because Elsa spoke. They felt joyful and excited. He didn't expect that in his previous life, Elsa had such a good childhood friend. While the whole family was happy that Elsa spoke, Alson, below, also remembered the past. Those were the good times of the Eatonbell Empire. Suddenly, a sound was heard from behind. It turns out it was the teacher who arrived. The teacher commented, the interior of the Eatonbell royal family is in complete chaos, while in the Emil Empire, everything is harmonious. How shameful. Alson worriedly said, if anyone heard that. Before Alson finished speaking, the teacher interrupted him. So what if they hear it? I'm already old. Alson clenched his fist. He didn't understand why Elisa had to be executed. If he had known earlier, there surely would be a way to save her. But when I heard this news, it was already too late. Until now, every time I open my eyes in the morning, it seems I can see Elisa's figure entering through the window. Having said that, Alson was already crying his eyes out. He clenched his teeth tightly. I cannot forgive those who condemned her to death, the teacher expressed with resignation. Alson, calm down. You cannot lose yourself in hatred. Alson wiped away his tears. It is necessary to investigate the truth so that Elisa can have her revenge. The teacher turned around and was silent for a moment. Then do what you said you would do. I will help you in this too. Alson quickly thanked the teacher and looked up at the balcony. That little princess is called Elsa, right? Thanks to him, I made a firm decision. Time flies. Now little Princess Elsa has been reborn for 7 years. At this moment, Elsa is sitting in the shade of a tree, reading attentively. Her brother also approaches. It turns out it's a book about the history of the development of ancient language. Is it a book that a 7-year-old can understand? Isis continues speaking, while stroking Elsa's nape. But being shy is being clever. It's not surprising that you can understand these profound books. It turns out that since Elsa was 3 years old, she began to show her ability to the outside world. Yes, since that time at the fireworks show, Elsa had already opened her heart. That's how Elsa began to learn to read. Actually, it was a learning simulation. Her brother was happy and told the queen. He chose the name Elsa wrote. At 3 years old, she already knows how to write her name. This cannot help but make everyone think that Elsa is a genius. Elsa even wrote the names of her father and mother. The queen was very moved. Soon after, Elsa began to read fairy tales. In addition to the language, Elsa is especially interested in spirits. She immediately began to research spirits, but Elsa has always been worried that her talent would affect her brother's heir status. Until now. Finally, Elsa can study openly. Actually, he is learning about spirits. There is only one goal, and that is to take revenge on the Atombal Empire. Fortunately, in Amalur, information from the Atombal Empire can also be obtained easily. For the past hundreds of years, the two nations have been enemies. Only in the last 10 years have they begun to coexist peacefully. And brother Rakius will also this year be named Crown Prince. It seems that even if I die, everyone will continue to live well. Aisha's empire celebrates a great event in every season. The main event is to worship the gods and celebrate festivities. Because it is the biggest event of the year, the palace will take a long time to prepare. My mother, as queen, will surely be very busy. And this time my mother came without prior notice. Is there something you want to tell me? Aisha, excited, opened the door and ran towards her mother. Mother, I've missed you so much. Are you well lately? The queen holds Elsa's little hand with both hands. It's good to get straight to the point. Do you remember Professor Aemon who came last time? It turns out that the professor from the Emil Empire is going to evaluate Elsa's learning ability. But Elsa, who has memories of her past life, at that moment was a little uninterested in the professor. Elsa thought the queen would criticize her, but she didn't expect the queen to say something like that. Professor Aisha keeps praising you. She said you are exceptional, practically a genius who appears once in several decades. Aisha smiled awkwardly a couple of times, thinking that if she had known earlier she should have behaved a little worse during the test, that would be more appropriate. The queen showed an expression of satisfaction. She seriously said to Elsa, "What would you like to do in the future? You have always been very intelligent. The lady who taught you back then always spoke well of you. However, after listening to the professor, I feel a little distressed. I don't know what else I can do for you." It's obvious, Elsa's exceptional talent worries the queen a little. Hearing this, Elsa feels a little lost. Am I being too impatient? Take your time to think about it. The queen stood up and gave her some more advice about the spring festival. Make some friends your age. After having friends, perhaps you will benefit on your path in life. That could be very useful. Elsa joked mischievously. But will Papa and brother agree? Elsa plans to carry out a plan of revenge against the Itenbel Empire. And the power of the Spirit Master will become Aisha's secret weapon. Aisha knows that to take revenge, she cannot do it alone. But she doesn't want to cause trouble for her family, so she decides to investigate spirit magic. It wasn't long before Aisha fell asleep on the sofa. The next day, Aisha arrived at the library to look for information about spirits, but Elsa knows very few words. She can't understand anything. Just because Elsa finished the basic ancient language course yesterday, she has already mastered the basic vocabulary. And she also understands the principles of language formation, so she can deduce the general meaning from the shape of the words, guess the approximate meaning. But even with the collection of all the books in the empire, the actual management of ancient books is not very common. Books are scarce. Aisha can only search one by one. Just as Aisha was preparing to look elsewhere, she suddenly found a history book of the elves. Aisha was very excited. After reading this book, she will be able to understand the elves better. It seems the elves are also very happy. At that moment, the elf suddenly spoke to her, to Elsa. Do you want to see this book? It turns out it's a book about magic. If Elsa learns magic, it could be key to her revenge. It could play an important role in her plan. Elsa nodded. She decided to learn a little magic. Then Elsa left the library, but she didn't expect to meet her brother on the way. Her brother was very curious about why Elsa was there. Elsa was very nervous. She quickly put away the magic, but even so, her brother saw her. Aisha began to learn magic to take revenge. It's just that Aisha didn't want her brother to know, so she lied to him saying it was a book of ancient languages. She said she still needed to delve deeper into the study of ancient languages. At that moment, Aisha was very afraid of being discovered. She kept smiling at her brother. She prayed she could get away with it. Suddenly, her brother shouted her name. This startled Elsa. Her brother strokes Elsa's head. I've heard everything. The professor has a high opinion of you, although the queen is very worried about your future. You don't have to worry too much. Do what you want to do. We will all support you. After speaking, Isis turned around and left. This made Aisha suspicious. It seems her brother knows she is hiding something, but she has been reborn, and having a spirit is such an absurd thing. Her brother couldn't know, could he? Aisha knows that these kinds of unreal things cannot be told to others. Returning to the room, Elsa is reading the history of the elves. The stories in the book are really interesting. What can be stated with certainty is that the elves disappeared because they were forced to get involved in the War of the Elf Sword. But the book never mentions someone who can see elves from birth. Elsa blinked and asked, curious about what was happening. She didn't know who to ask. What should I do? While Elsa frowned, she accidentally saw the information in the book about summoning a spirit. Elsa felt very happy. It was something she most wanted to understand. Elsa discovered by reading carefully that the most important thing to summon a spirit is the contract. This is the first time Elsa signs a contract with a spirit of light. This also lays the foundation for Elsa's revenge. Elsa carefully read the history of spirits. She discovered that to summon a spirit, she must draw a magic circle. And this book does not present this type of formation separately. What really angered Aisha was that the book even advertised, if you want to summon a spirit, you can buy it. The dignified princess of the Emilir Empire could not bear something like this. Without thinking twice, she threw away this book of spirit history. Aisha, breathing heavily, leaned disappointed on the table. I thought I could learn more about summoning spirits. Damn author. He really has no scruples about selling. While Elsa complained, the spirits around her asked her to calm down. Elsa also realized that she was too excited. This is not right. The book that the spirit made me read might have clues. Elsa flips through the magic book, as Elsa had foreseen. Although it is a low-level contract circle, it is better than nothing. Elsa quickly prepares the materials that the book suggests. The paper and pen are ready. Only drawing the magic circle is missing. Draw the magic circle and place your hand on it. Then pronounce the spell so that the spirits who create all things come to be my power. Immediately, beside her, Aisha was surrounded by flashes of golden light. The bright golden light was dazzling. In a short time, the golden light condensed into a sphere. An adorable golden spirit appeared before Elsa's eyes. The spirit suddenly spoke. Elsa, you have successfully summoned. Elsa was surprised to hear that voice, because this spirit is the one that has been by her side. Its name is Deer. It is a low-level spirit of light. Since she was little, the spirit that accompanied Elsa became a tangible being. Elsa also never imagined that it would be so easy to sign a contract with the spirit. The spirit of light told Elsa that summoning more powerful spirits would not be so simple. Because Elsa was still in childhood, the magic value I have is quite low. So to summon a higher spirit, I need to wait for my magic value to increase. Above the low-level spirits, there are 4 more levels of spirits. The highest is the king of the spirits, who Aisha saw before, Luminis. Speaking of Luminas, Aisha also didn't expect it. The most venerated god of the Emilir Empire is the Elf King. Not only does he symbolize victory and honor, but he is also the god of life, and the festival that the Emilir Empire is about to celebrate. It is also to pay homage to Luminas, the Elf of Light, thus continuing the history of the Elf King. Actually, a long time ago, the creator created magic, and so the Elf Kings were born. Since then, the title of Elf King has constantly changed over time. Luminis was previously known as the Lord of Spells, and now he is called the God of Light. But not all gods are spirits. Gods and spirits protect the world together. That's why sometimes humans can lose their souls. And Luminas is not a god, he is just a spirit. Then Aisha asked what the king of the spirits was like. Lur was very excited and expressed his love for the king of the spirits. Not only does he have silver hair, but also captivating eyes. Elsa was silent for a moment. It can't be. It's not possible that she saw the king of the humans. Elves. Yes, Elsa didn't know that man was the king of the elves. Until now, she still believes it was just a dream. Elsa nervously asked, "Is it possible that I can summon the king of the elves?" Lur put the dessert in her hands. Seriously, she said to Aisha. In this world, there is still no one who has managed to summon the King of the Elves, because humans cannot possess the summoning power of the King of the Elves. Aisha felt very disappointed. Also, because of how powerful the King of the Elves is, how could he be summoned so easily? At that moment, Elsa remembered her brother applauding. What will her brother be doing now? Then Elsa asked the nurse. Because the prince was so enthusiastic about practicing swordsmanship, he accidentally caught a cold. Elsa was very worried. Will her brother be all right now? Is he very sick? The nurse realized she had let her tongue slip. Elsa immediately hugged the nurse. With a pleading look, she begged her to tell her about her brother. The nurse inquired about the brother's situation. It turns out that the crown prince was worried that the cold would be contagious to Elsa. That's why he ordered that she not be informed about his illness. But Elsa didn't want her brother to hide anything from her. So Elsa decides to write a letter to her brother, deciding to tell him her feelings, so that her brother doesn't worry too much about her. The scene changes. The cold has left Isis powerless. His nose feels stuffy. He can only breathe through his mouth. Even his voice sounds muffled. Visiting Isis is Bevan from the night. Bevan has a good relationship with Isis. Bevan asks Isis why he practices the sword so diligently. Isis modestly replies, that of course is to improve his swordsmanship, to cope with various unforeseen situations. Yes, since Isis made the knight's promise to Aisha from that moment on. Isis knew that only by constantly improving his strength could he protect the people he loved. At that moment, a servant informed Isis that Aisha's maid wished to see him. Hearing this, Isis immediately stood up. It turns out it was a letter sent by Aisha. Isis took the envelope and was stunned. This was truly unexpected for Isis. Isis opened the envelope and began to read. But he didn't read 2 sentences before coughing, and he was a little unsteady. Beowulf worries about the prince, telling him not to overexert himself, otherwise he will get even worse. Isis is very frustrated. Beowulf, you really are a chatterbox. I'm turning around. Xinfeng mentioned, Aisha expressed her longing and concern for her brother. After reading the contents of the letter, Isis felt a little guilty. Although last time in the library, he discovered that Aisha had hidden something from him. But Aisha surely has her own reasons. As a brother, he should trust and support her. This also made Isis more determined to change. Qiang looked at Isis, understanding what Wembu felt. Why does Isis like his sister so much? Perhaps it's because he is the only son of the Wen family, so he really can't understand his feelings. And thanks to Aisha, the prince was able to cheer up. I remember when Queen Tethys passed away. Isis looked like a little wild beast gone mad. If it weren't for the queen and the princess now, how could he show such a smile? This is the first time Elsa realizes she can use magic. The first day of the spring festival, everyone is praying to the god of light, Lumines. Then the healing ritual of the priests takes place. The ugly scars will be healed with magic. Aisha, who was watching from above, was very curious. If the Elf King is not a god, where does the power the priest uses come from? Lure explained to Aisha that, in reality, they are not using divine power, but the self-healing ability that the Light Elves have. The divine crown follows Lady Luminous and helps her spread her faith so she obtains some power. Elsa suddenly realized, since the spirits of light have innate healing abilities, will I be able to use this ability too? The spirit smiled and replied, of course, you can use this power to heal the sick. Elsa was very happy. But Elsa's power is not very strong. It is only similar to that of those gods. Only when the spirits that Elsa summons are higher is her healing ability stronger. Like Elsa, people who can see spirits from birth are unique beings. If others find out about Elsa having such great power, it will undoubtedly provoke the envy of others. For now, all that remains is to hide this ability. In this way, the Spirit Master's ability can become her secret weapon, thinking that the higher the level of the spirits, the stronger the healing ability. Elsa was just trembling. The queen, unknowingly, thought Elsa was cold. After the ceremony of the flower girl, the queen organized a tea party so that Elsa could make more friends. Elsa, who couldn't escape, hadn't spoken to her brother for a long time now. Because the morning atmosphere was very serious, Elsa can't talk to her brother. She can only spy on him from the side. And now her brother is a little far from Elsa. Even pretending to pass by and approaching him to talk is very difficult. Seeing that her brother has already recovered, Elsa also shows a happy expression. And beside him is young Bevan. Not only is he exceptional in swordsmanship, but he also has great talent in magic. He is the heir to the ducal house. At that moment, the girl beside Aisha suddenly speaks to her. The princess will come to the embroidery meeting. I'm not very good at embroidery. The girl seemed very enthusiastic. Speaking non-stop, she explained to Elsa that embroidery is not easy. But every beginning is difficult. With frequent practice, skill is achieved. I remember last time. Elsa felt very uncomfortable. She immediately interrupted. Better to leave it at that? Yes, Elsa is very resistant to being with these people, and the girl on the other side has already been talking to herself for half an hour. I don't know if the others have a lower status or if they are scared by her presence. Another person is just feeling, oh my god, who can help me? Someone is eagerly waiting there for her rescue. Just at that moment, Bei Wang suddenly appears. Your Highness Princess Elsa, the Crown Prince has something to tell you. Let me go find your brother. He has something to tell me. Then I will definitely go. The girls around cast envious glances. Elsa also felt relieved. Elsa endured half an hour at the boring tea party. Fortunately, Bevan arrived in time to help Elsa. If it continues like this, I'm afraid the tea party won't have ended and Aisha will be exhausted. Bevan also complained, and the tea party seemed very boring. Then Bevan confessed to Aisha. Actually, the Crown Prince didn't instruct me to have you come. Elsa was stunned. My brother didn't call me out. Then why did you take me away? Bevan turned and looked at Elsa. I saw that you looked very uncomfortable outside, so I took the initiative and brought you out. Besides, it seems the prince also wants to see you. Elsa was very surprised by what Bevan said. She thought he was clearly very far away before. It seems he can still notice my expression of difficulty. It seems he knows how to read between the lines. And he is also very open and sincere. Aisha looks at Bevan with a big smile. Although he deceived me, I am still very grateful to him. After all, I really don't want to continue talking to those little Marquise ladies. Suddenly, Elsa noticed the flower on Bevan's chest. She proudly told Bevan about the flower he was wearing, and also the flower crown she was wearing on her head. It was my idea. To welcome spring and express my gratitude to the spirits, I suggested using fresh flowers as accessories. Yes, before the spring festival. Elsa participated in the planning of this event. Every day she stays in the palace writing the plan for the spring festival, and she has also received praise from her parents. Baewon is very surprised. Is this something a 7-year-old can do? Baewon also realized that Aisha's planning this time mainly seeks to highlight the importance of the existence of elves. Yes, after all, it is easy for people to forget the existence of elves. And Elsa can see spirits every day, so it's not strange to her. But for ordinary people, spirits should be a distant and mysterious existence. Wen deeply admires Princess Elsa. You are indeed, as the legends say, mature and serene. If I were in front of the Crown Prince, I might not have the opportunity to speak with you again, so it is a great honor to be able to chat with you like this. Elsa is very confused. Why can't you talk to me in front of your brother? Bevan was about to explain to Elsa, but the prince unexpectedly interrupted Bevan from afar. The Crown Prince looked very enthusiastic. He directly pulled Bei Wang aside. Aisha finally understood why Bei Wang couldn't talk to her. He couldn't interrupt at all. Bei Wang beside him was very helpless. He could only silently accept a ration of jealousy. Little Princess Aisha was really very happy. No one expected that in her past life, Aisha would be betrayed and murdered. In this life, however, she is reborn as the princess of an enemy country, being doted upon. Just when Aisha and her brother were chatting animatedly, her mother and grandparents arrived at the tea party. It turns out that Her Majesty the Queen had matters to attend to, so she asked Aisha to take her grandparents to tour the palace. For a while, Elsa is very happy. This is also a rare opportunity to spend more time with her grandparents. However, what Elsa didn't expect was that Bevan would also come, and that the grandfather at the border would also lead a powerful group of knights. Young Bevan surely also yearns for it, to become as skilled with the sword as grandfather. Elsa and her group arrived at the back garden. In the back garden, there is a long, arched corridor. It is covered with fresh flowers. With a soft breeze blowing, petals fall from the air. Elsa caught a petal. At that moment, she had never felt so happy. Grandfather called Aisha, "Stay there and don't move." Aisha was somewhat confused. Grandfather took out a glowing sphere from his pocket. It turns out it is the image sphere that the mage has recently researched. It works with the energy of magic stones. It can store landscapes and sounds. What Grandfather said was hard for Ayesha to believe. Then, Grandfather moved the image sphere a little, and the moment Elsa grabbed the pedal was completely recorded. Elsa was very embarrassed. Meanwhile, Grandfather and Grandmother were delighted with Elsa's cuteness. The Crown Prince also liked this image sphere very much, asking Grandfather to give him one. It is evident that the Crown Prince is a bit controlling with his sister. He surely wants to look at Elsa in the image sphere every day, because the grandparents have been at the border for a long time, and this image sphere was bought by the grandparents especially to record Elsa. How could it be for the Crown Prince? Then the Crown Prince began to pout at the grandparents. Elsa and Wenbei laughed at this scene. Elsa and the Queen fall to the ground, vomiting blood. They are poisoned and faint. Who could have poisoned them? Today is the main event of the festival. Everyone is wearing white clothes. Elsa is also wearing a white dress. She arrived at Isis's palace. The Crown Prince and Bevan are chatting. Elsa casually saw a portrait on the wall, which was a painting, and the woman in the painting was Queen Thetis, who is His Highness Isis's mother. Isis looked at the painting indifferently. If my mother were alive, what would she think seeing me now? Although thinking like this is a bit foolish. Saying that, Isis smiled maliciously. Elsa comforted him. Brother, you have to cheer up. Isis shook his head. I'm not bad, don't worry. I feel very happy now. Isis stroked Elsa's hair. His words warmed Elsa's heart. Elsa felt the same way. Then a group arrived in the back garden. The servant serving tea also arrived. Perhaps he is an experienced servant. Every movement he makes is very appropriate. The servant placed the teacups in front of Ayesha and her brother, but Bevan refused the tea. Ayesha was confused. Did this servant work in my brother's palace before? I've never seen him before. Perhaps there are not enough hands for the sending event. Elsa, without thinking much, drank the tea in the cup. At that moment, the elf suddenly shouted, "Sir, this tea cannot be drunk!" Elsa was a little surprised. The elf explained that the plant spirit said this tea is poisonous. Elsa still didn't understand the situation. Her nose started to bleed. And what came next was dizziness. Ayesha saw that Isis's face was very pale. With her last breath, she said to Isis, "Don't drink any more of this cup of tea." Then Ayesha spat out a mouthful of blood. Both fell onto the table. Ayesha and Isis were poisoned. The two fell together, spitting blood on the table. The only one who hadn't had tea was frightened. He quickly pushed back his chair. He anxiously shouted to call the wasteland and Shenguan. The scene changes. All the nobles were discussing the poisoning incident of the Crown Prince and the Princess. Thanks to young Wen's testimony, the servant who poisoned them was caught so quickly. Although Wen received praise from everyone, he still feels very guilty. I was right beside them, but I couldn't do anything. Why am I so incapable? I always thought that the best way to protect others was to act proactively. So I study every day, but at the crucial moment I feel helpless. Bevan is always complaining about himself. Fortunately, at that moment, the Queen was also in the Crown Prince's palace. Actually, emergency measures were taken for the Crown Prince. Her Majesty's expression was very grave. The royal physician explained to Her Majesty the situation of both. Although the dose that Her Highness the Princess took was relatively low, he is too young, so the reaction to the poison is very strong. Furthermore, when talking about this, the royal physician began to hesitate. Finally, he still mentioned the worst situation. His Highness the Crown Prince has ingested a large amount of poison, so there could be danger to his life. Hearing this news, the nobles present were frightened. Her Majesty lowered her head and asked, "Is there any way to save them?" The imperial physician explains to Her Majesty. Now the crucial thing is to find out what kind of poison they have received. Only then can we look for the antidote. Actually, the best option is for the god to use his power to heal them. But the great god did not receive the spring festival, and went on a pilgrimage with the high gods. Her Majesty bit her lip hard, suspecting that the assassin had also considered. The pilgrimage is a custom of the spring festival. Returning to the gods could take at least 3 or 4 days. Her Majesty looked very helpless. Are Ayesha and Isis going to die? Your Majesty is very displeased. Order that the two be rescued with all our strength. At that moment, one of the counts underestimated. On the sacred day of the spring festival, the two princes have been poisoned. Isn't this a bad omen? What does this actually mean? It should be a curse. Surely it's because there are few sacrifices. The gods are angry. The crown prince has no right to be the successor. Your Majesty, he has come before this count. What do you mean by that? Do you think my son is a person of bad omen? The count immediately bowed to explain, Your Majesty, I didn't mean that, I just think it's a bad omen. Her Majesty is completely enraged, her eyes are full of anger. As you said, today is a sacred day, so I will spare you for now. The count immediately thanked her. Her Majesty continued, But if you dare to insult a member of the royalty in my presence, I will cut off your tongue to feed it to the crows. This count frightened me. I deserve to die. It's all my recklessness. Her Majesty did not pursue me and turned to leave, but the count smiled secretly. It seemed that everything was under his control. The young Princess Elsa was poisoned and in a coma. The perpetrator of the poisoning has not yet been found. Elsa's condition was temporarily controlled, but she still needed the help of divine powers to eradicate the poison in her body. And the high priest and the high-ranking conductor will need 2 or 3 days to return. The queen is very worried. Elsa has tears in her eyes, and Elsa has been in a state of nightmare. The scene changes to Elsa's dream. A dark space. This scares little Elsa very much. She instinctively looks around in this unknown place. It seems she is trying to find something, but her feet are tied by a huge iron ball. Soon, the dream location changed. This is Aisha's appearance in her past life. Trapped in an underground prison, Aisha feels very desperate. How could my family become like this? Why do you only trust Mariana and don't listen to my explanations at all? I feel so sad. Elsa is completely curled up. At that moment, she already had thoughts about her own life. Suddenly, another voice appeared in Elsa's mind. Do you really think so? Aren't there things you still want to do? Yes, Elsa wants to clarify why they really want to kill each other. But at this point, continuing to look for that is meaningless. Everyone hates me, and Elsa no longer has hope in them. Another voice comforted her. It's okay, because the people who believe in you and love you are not here. They are waiting for you to return. Memories appear before Elsa's eyes. Whether it's her brother or her parents, everyone loved her, believed in Elsa. Elsa wiped away her tears. In her heart, she was convinced that she was no longer Elisa. I am the only princess of the Emil Empire. The chains beneath my feet gradually disappear. Elsa breaks the nightmares in her heart. She constantly runs forward, but no matter how much Elsa runs, she can't seem to get closer to that light. Elsa feels somewhat lost. With a plop, Elsa lay down on the grass. I can't give up yet. I have to think carefully about the light. Aisha closes her eyes, enjoying the sun. Is the light like family to me? Aisha reflects for a moment and realizes that it's not just that. Family is certainly light, but that's not all. I also have my own light. I have always been loved by those around me, and the light I have received from them. All of this has warmed my heart, accompanied by rays of golden light emerging from my chest. Elsa remembered it. Then, Elsa shouted the name of the spirit of light. Confidently, she walked towards that golden light. The unconscious Elsa finally awoke, and her brother is still in a dangerous condition. Will Elsa reveal her fairy power to save her brother? Elsa, newly awakened from her dream, confusedly called out for her mother. The queen, emotional, was crying. Then, while embracing Elsa, she kept repeating Elsa's name. Elsa, who was being held tightly, could barely breathe. The queen called the court physician. The physician said that, fortunately, Her Highness the Princess had regained consciousness. She woke up. However, she still needs to continue with treatment. It is important for her to rest and recover well. The queen extended her small hand and stroked Elsa's little face. It's all right. Elsa, you just need to take the medicine for a while. And rest well, you will recover soon. Elsa thought of her brother, then asked her mother about him. The queen remained silent. The court physician told Elsa, His Highness Prince Isis has ingested a large amount of poison. The current situation is very dangerous. To cure Prince Isis, it is necessary for the great god to intervene. But right now, he is on a medical pilgrimage. He will not arrive before tomorrow afternoon. Aisha is very worried. How could this happen, although I am not very poisoned? It was also difficult to wake up, and this should be due to the help of the spirit of light. But my brother wasn't as lucky as me. Thinking of this, Elsa began to hold back tears. Elsa quickly got out of bed. The queen tried to stop Elsa, but Elsa's attitude was very firm. The queen couldn't do anything about it. She could only lead Elsa to where her brother was. Elsa's arrival greatly surprised Her Majesty. "What are you doing here? Are you feeling better?" Elsa didn't pay attention to her father, passed by His Majesty, and went directly to her brother. The queen, resigned, said that she couldn't convince him. He insisted on coming personally to see Isis. Elsa wasn't feeling well. While walking, she was still a bit unsteady. Isis's condition is very bad. Even an ordinary priest cannot improve his brother's situation with power if her brother never wakes up. Aisha chokes up, thinking about this. Then she summons the spirit of light. As soon as the deer came out, it began to cry non-stop, always worried about its master, who would never wake up again. Aisha suddenly asked seriously, "Can I summon the Supreme Spirit now?" Aisha, to save her brother, did not hesitate to risk her life to summon the Supreme Spirit. Aisha, who had barely recovered from the poisoning, was in a very weak state. If the ultimate fairy is forcibly summoned, it is very likely that there will be a danger to life. But if the magic stone is used, perhaps it can succeed. Aisha knows that the healing abilities of the fairy in the first episode are comparable to the divine power of the normal seasons. If she wants to heal her brother, the only solution is to make a pact with the ultimate spirit, even if it implies revealing that I am a spirit tamer. Aisha takes the magic stone she has around her neck. Will this magic stone be enough? It's the magic stone Arson gave her at her birthday party. Since then, Aisha has never left it. The deer came closer to look. It observed him carefully. The beautiful sapphire stone is very pretty and shines with a faint glimmer. What she didn't expect was that the power of the magic stone had already been exhausted while she was unconscious. Elsa is very surprised. How is it possible? The spirit explains to Elsa. The reason you woke up so quickly is because this magic stone has a protective spell. Once it is exhausted, the magic stone is no longer useful. Elsa looks a little confused. The parents beside them didn't know the reason. They thought Elsa had lost her mind and was just talking to herself. The queen quickly approached Elsa. "Do you feel unwell? If you are tired, you can go back to your room to rest." Elsa might have been in a state of tension. It seems she didn't hear what her mother was saying, always thinking about where to find the magic stone. Elsa unintentionally saw Bevan. It seems she remembered something. "Can you lend me the magic stone for a moment?" Bevan was very surprised. It turns out that Elsa knows Bevan is a magic swordmaster. She also borrowed the ancient book from Bevan. Looking at Elsa, Bevan was in the summoning circle. There is some hesitation. Princess Elsa hasn't recovered yet, has she? Even if she does, it will probably be in vain. Elsa is forcing the summoning of the Supreme Spirit for her brother. A huge summoning circle appears before everyone. Elsa places the magic stone in the center of the summoning circle. She slowly extends her right hand over the spell. Although he is now very far away, Elsa still insists that the spirits who create all things come to be my power. Then, the power of the magic stone and the summoning circle were activated. A bright red light illuminated the entire room, and the air was filled with lightning. This is the sign of a successful summoning, but Elsa feels her physical strength gradually disappearing. At first, there are no very obvious changes, but then it's as if a tap has been opened. Energy escapes quickly. Summoning the Supreme Spirit is more difficult than Elsa imagined. Elsa begins to have difficulty breathing. The sweat on her face keeps dripping. "Just a little more. I just need to hold on a little longer." Elsa encourages herself non-stop. "Now only I can save my brother." Elsa bites her lip hard. The magic of the summoning circle gradually increases. A faint figure appears before Elsa's eyes. This is the ultimate spirit of light. It is different from deer. It looks like a mature lady, calm and dignified. The ultimate spirit introduces herself to Elsa. "Nice to meet you. My name is Limier." Elsa looked at Limier with an expression of satisfaction. She slowly gets up and is very happy to see you. "My name is Elsa." Upon getting up, Elsa felt her body was very heavy. It feels as if she has done a lot of exercise. This situation might be because Elsa is still young. It could also be due to a congenital deficiency. But in any case, the important thing is that Aisha's strength and magical power are insufficient now. At the instant Aisha extended her left hand, Aisha raised her head. With a determined look, she looked at Limie. "Let's make a pact." Limie slowly descended from the air and gently kissed Aisha's left hand. It represents that Limie has accepted the contract. Little by little, Limie's body begins to appear before everyone's eyes. The queen, who was beside her, looks at Limie in surprise. "What's wrong with Aisha? Is it a fairy?" Aisha cleared her throat with effort. "It's not a fairy. It's a type of spirit." Seeing Mom in a state of confusion, Elsa couldn't speak again. If she had time, Elsa would want to explain clearly to her mother why she hasn't told her about her power until now. But there is no more time. Elsa has very little magic left. Just summoning Limie is enough to leave Aisha stunned. Aisha now has to save her brother. The power of the spirits can help him. Aisha uses magic from the spirits to heal Isis. Now what Aisha must do is learn how to use the power of the spirits. Limie explains to Aisha the spirit and the contractor, from the moment the contract is signed, become a community. So no matter the distance, you can use the spirit's power. However, the closer we are, the stronger the healing ability will be. But now, the poison in Aisha's body has not yet been eliminated, and she has forcibly summoned the Supreme Essence. She is very weak. Limie can only possess Aisha's body to provide power. Immediately, Limie turned into a ray of golden light and entered Aisha's mind. Aisha's eyes turned the color of emerald. Isis's condition is not good now. His face is very pale. Elsa clenches her fists. "Good! I can definitely do it." Then, Elsa extends her hand towards Isis in the air. A power she had never used before obediently flows into Elsa's body. Immediately emits a dazzling golden glow. But Elsa realizes that healing patients is more difficult than she imagined. Isis made a sound. The brother obtained a remarkable effect under the spirit's intelligence. Elsa smiled happily. But in the next instant, Elsa began to despair. Because Elsa's magic was about to run out. Isn't just summoning the Supreme Spirit enough? Elsa remembered the past moments with her brother. He knows he can't give up, he can't lose his brother. Unconsciously, Elsa was soaked in sweat and silently shed tears. "Brother, you can't die, please. Open your eyes. I want to see your smile." Burning tears fell non-stop. Yes, Elsa felt uneasy. She felt despair. Isis might really die. Even if tears blur her vision, Aisha doesn't dare to wipe away her tears. Suddenly, the magic began to fade, and Aisha fainted, coughing and staggering. Luckily, Gwen hugged her in time. The parents were very worried about Aisha. Elsa cried again. "Isn't just me enough?" Effect of the treatment. Even if it's just to reach the Great Gate, it's okay. At that moment, was a voice heard from behind. "Is this the world after death?" Yes, Princess Isis has woken up. Elsa, excited, jumped on the bed and hugged Isis. Aisha's spirit is an exposed identity, but Aisha didn't tell anyone else about her rebirth. Aisha only explained to Shen Guan how Isis was awakened. Shen Guan was surprised that Aisha could summon spirits. Before, Aisha had hidden that book of spirits from Isis. It is because Elsa's very existence is special. This ability gives Elsa, not always only benefits. That Isis could be revived shows that Elsa and the others are lucky. The priests have an expression of disbelief. They hesitated for a good while. Several priests and the conductor failed to awaken the crown prince, but the princess has a powerful healing power. "Could you be a saint?" There Shen explained, as I just said, I am an elf master. With that said, Aisha summoned Lur. The summoned Lur seemed to notice that the people around him were looking at him. He gently raised his antlers. "Hello everyone, I greet you. I am Luar, the spirit of the lower aurora." Look at this adorable spirit. Everyone can't help but exclaim, "Oh my God," so that everyone believes what Aisha says. He can only use this method to prove it to everyone. The priest looks at Aisha with admiration. "The princess has such a powerful ability. I pledge to fully support you in the future." The god's reaction was more positive than Aisha imagined. Aisha was even granted the title of saint. Before, Aisha was worried about whether this ability would be useful to her, but seeing the god's attitude towards spirit masters, Aisha felt a little more relieved. The real culprit behind the trap against the princess and the crown prince, the maximum penalty imposed by His Majesty. The methods of punishment are extremely cruel. Her powerful healing ability granted Aisha the highest title bestowed by the gods. And Aisha had already anticipated that this would happen, but she will not abandon the mundane for this power. The title of priestess will not distance her from the world. She will stay in the palace, as a priest, staying by her family's side, but I will make good use of this powerful healing ability to save more people. After saying this, Bei Wang addressed His Majesty. Since things are already clear, and both princes have improved, then I will take my leave for now. His Majesty agreed to Bei Wang's request. But what happened today must be kept secret for the time being. At that moment, Isis stopped His Majesty and said that this cannot end yet. You must catch those who harmed me and Aisha, and make them pay the price they deserve. Isis showed an expression of hatred. This was the first time Aisha saw her brother so determined and calm. The underground turned around and slowly walked towards Isis. Of course, I will use all my strength to find the mastermind, to prevent this from happening again. If I catch him, I will cut out his tongue, cut off his limbs, execute his entire family. Finally, hang his head at the city gate to feed the crows. The father put his hand on Isis's head and comforted him. So you don't need to worry. Rest and take care of yourselves. His Majesty's words greatly reassured Isis. He even joked a little about his father. Are you going to poison the person I love most in front of the prisoner? Would that be considered a tie? Yes, that's right, this tactic is to return the move with their own game. It's truly disgusting. Even Aisha and the other feel helpless. They are truly terrifying. His Majesty smiled and said to Isis, I will fulfill your wish. Because Aisha risked her life to save Isis, which caused her to be bedridden for 3 weeks. The sweet nurse treated Elsa like her own daughter. She loved her with all her heart, spoon after spoon, to feed Elsa. Elsa is very reluctant. She feels she is not a small child, it's just that she can't get up and move. She doesn't need to be fed like this. The mother comforts her. You can't say that. You need to rest now. You must not get tired at all. You are so weak you even vomited blood. Let me take care of you. Aisha had no choice but to accept. The elf on the side didn't pay attention to anyone, only focused on eating snacks. In the afternoon of the second day after she woke up, the high priest quickly returned and immediately used his divine power to treat the 2 princes, so there were no major problems. But the royal physician doesn't dare to be careless. He always comes to take her pulse after Elsa has dinner, and uses various precious herbs to prepare soup. The color and taste of the medicine are very unpleasant. Every time this happens, Elsa especially hates whoever poisoned her. But the assassin has already been captured. The emperor has not broken his promise. He mobilized all the resources of the officials and caught the assassin. And the assassin is the count who spoke disparagingly that day. He is a count from a northern region who professes a very fervent faith in the gods. During the interrogation, it was learned he says the reason he poisoned them is because he was dissatisfied with Isis inheriting the throne. This is how the whole situation unfolds. Aisha sighed. She feels all of this is like a comedy. Aisha carefully analyzes what will happen in the future. She always has the feeling that things are not so simple. Aisha was poisoned. It's the same poison as in her previous life. And that count, could he be a spy sent by the enemy? Since the count was captured, the entire family of the criminal has been sentenced to death. His Majesty has not been satisfied with the execution of the count, because this, compared to the crime of assassinating a member of the royalty, is not worth it. And that count, did he really only poison out of discontent with the sacrifice? Aisha believes that the risk of poisoning a member of the royalty is very high. This motive is unfounded. Furthermore, the culprit does not need to poison himself, even if he says he wants to eliminate all descendants of the imperial family. All motives are more reasonable than this. Elsa is sitting on the bed. Her expression is very serious. A feeling of unease washes over her, because the poison he has is the same poison that Marianne had before. Only Elsa knows this in her heart. But she cannot act recklessly to tell everyone the experience of being reborn. This may cause an uproar among the nobility. Thinking about it, Aisha couldn't help but clench her fists. Cold sweat kept flowing down her face. Why does it have to be so coincidental? What is really going on? Aisha's spoon fell to the ground. This startled the nurse. Why are you holding your chest? Does your heart feel unwell? Do you want me to call the doctor right now? The nurse's continuous questions left Aisha no opportunity to intervene, until Aisha suddenly shouted, I'm really all right, which made the nurse calm down. But Elsa knows by herself that the real instigator has not been found. Elsa was at home recovering for 3 weeks. She can finally go out. Whether it's the sweet singing of the birds, the pleasant fragrance of the flowers carried by the breeze, all of this seems especially beautiful. Who would want to be trapped in a room for more than 20 days? Although Elsa can only walk briefly for 30 minutes after lunch compared to the previous 3 weeks, this is like a dream, a beautiful butterfly. Immediately, Elsa's attention was drawn. On its delicate white garment, there was a slight touch of transparency, like a veil of pure white silk. Elsa crouches down in front of the butterfly. She can't help but exclaim how beautiful it is. Elsa can enjoy such beauty. All thanks to the doctor telling her mother that getting 30 minutes of sunlight a day helps with recovery. Just as Elsa was silently thanking the doctor, footsteps approached from behind. It turns out that Isis had also come for a walk here. Upon seeing each other, the two worry in unison about the other's health. "Are you feeling better?" Under the shade of a tree, they laugh and joke with each other, spending the whole day in the room. One cannot practice the sword, and the other is forced to be fed. Actually, Isis came to find Aisha with a purpose. Isis told Aisha that the captured count was not the real culprit. The real author is in the shadows. Aisha didn't react to these words, because Aisha also deduced that the real author is in the shadows. Instead, Isis seems a little surprised. "It seems you are not surprised at all." Aisha replied indifferently to her brother. "Why are you only telling me this now?" Isis explains to Aisha, "You have always acted with the calmness of an adult. But now you are only 7 years old. We want to protect you well, so that your heart does not suffer any wounds. Father also did it for this reason. That's why he didn't tell you the truth of things." Aisha looked intently at her brother. "Since you mentioned this now, do you want to tell me who the real author behind everything is?" Elsa in her previous life was killed by a trap of the Edinburgh Empire. Now she has a second chance. Isis doesn't want to reveal who the real instigator is. To Elsa. In her brother's eyes, his sister is still a 7-year-old child. Yes, although Elsa was born into a royal family, she is also a child who has not yet turned 7. Isis only wants to protect Elsa, to protect everyone's treasures. Still, Elsa gently shook her head. "I want to know the truth, brother." Elsa's sapphire-like clear eyes. They are very firm. "Actually, I want to protect you too. Even if I am still a child, I can protect you. Do you remember the last time I helped you heal? I also have exceptional power. Telling you the truth is not a bad thing. To become stronger, I will continue to work hard." Elsa felt very proud saying this. This moment of having the power of the spirits makes Elsa feel incredibly happy. Isis asks repeatedly if you won't regret it. Elsa doesn't change her mind. "No." Then Isis hesitantly informs Elsa of the truth. After his father's investigation, he learned that the main culprits are the members of the imperial family of the Iatambul Empire. Upon hearing this, Aisha began to turn pale. Yes, Aisha had been striving to deduce the culprits, but Aisha never imagined that she would hear that name. Elsa looked a little stunned. She asked in disbelief, "Are they really the ones behind this?" Isis nodded. "That's right. Although it is not clear who planned it, we have already identified several suspects." Whatstein, his biological sister, Elisa, was executed for murdering a member of the royalty. She was sentenced to death before Isis could finish. Aisha felt a chill upon hearing that name. She collapsed in front of her brother. Elsa looked as if she had lost her soul. Her body trembled involuntarily. Isis felt that something was wrong. He immediately called out to Elsa loudly. Pleading while trembling, he grabbed the corner of his brother's clothes. "And what does this have to do with the poisoning?" Isis didn't answer Elsa. "You are not in a good state now. Let's talk about this later." Suddenly, Elsa became very agitated. "Tell me quickly why they want to kill us." Isis looked at Elsa and swallowed. "We haven't found the reason yet. It could be the Crown Prince of Idambel. It is to divert internal conflicts outward. They want to provoke unrest in our country, and that count is from the Idambel Empire. The arduous mandate of the Idambel royal family ordered him to kill. Isis feels very guilty. He didn't expect it to affect his sister as well. This is undoubtedly the time Aisha feels most disgusted. The truth her brother spoke overlapped with the shadows of the past. Killing Aisha from the previous life was already enough. Now they want to hurt Elsa again. The family of this life. They have even hurt Elsa again. The flames of hatred boil in Elsa. Elsa clenches her teeth tightly. She tries to relieve her anger with rapid breaths. Isis has also been trying to calm Elsa down, but it seems that Elsa's emotions cannot be controlled at all. The family of the Edinburgh Empire, the shadow they left on Elsa, was never erased. Perhaps we cannot describe in words. Elsa's fear before death. Whether it's the servant beside her or Isis in front of her, everyone looks very nervous. It seems, I shouldn't have told you the truth. Let's go back. The walk time is over. Isis tries to get Aisha to return to her room to rest. But at that moment, Aisha says to the queen servant, "Help me change into room. I can't go back yet. I have something to discuss with my brother." Reina left behind the luggage. Elsa tightly grabbed her brother's arm, with an expression as if she had lost her soul. "Brother, I have something to tell you. Do you want to hear my story?" Yes, Elsa is finally going to be honest with Isis about her weight, the secret of life. But Elsa is still a little worried. Will he really believe what I tell him? Isis doesn't understand what Elsa means. "What thing can make you feel like this, Elsa?" Without letting Isis finish, he interrupted his brother. "Since I was born, I have carried memories." Isis, who was about to comfort Aisha, suddenly stopped. "Not only that, but I also cannot forget what happened in my past life. In my previous life, I was the 4th princess of the Edinburgh Empire. I was falsely accused of trying to poison my sister Mariana, but I was innocent. However, they continued to pressure me. They said they found poison in my closet. I have no opportunity to explain. Everyone considers me the murderer. Finally, I was sentenced to death." Aisha said it indifferently. "Until today, I have not been able to escape that narrow and dark underground prison. That memory of only being able to drink water each day." The voice describing Elsa, little by little, sounds like a small boat, weakly drifting in a storm. But would Isis believe what Elsa says? Even if Isis believed it, as the next king, he would make Elsa relive the nightmare for the safety of his empire. Elsa confesses to Isis her secret of rebirth, but this very painful story sounds so absurd and inorganic. "The relatives I once loved, it turns out, have harassed and murdered me due to evidence on Weibo," Elsa cries out desperately. "I never thought of killing Mariana. I never thought of hurting anyone." Burning tears fall uncontrollably. Elsa clenches her fists, looks at her brother with a very firm gaze. "But I am innocent, please believe me." Elsa looks a little worried. "I told my brother the whole truth. What will he say? Will he believe me? I trust you." Isis's firm answer made Aisha suddenly look up. Those emerald green eyes looked at Aisha. "I believe that you were once the princess of the Atambal Empire, and you never wanted to kill your sister. I believe your words." Aisha is somewhat bewildered. "But doesn't it seem absurd to you? I have been reborn. My sister is very kind. She couldn't have thoughts of killing anyone." Isis's smile seemed to have warmed Aisha. Aisha's small body was hugged tightly by Isis. Isis emphasized once more, "I trust you." Aisha, without realizing it, could no longer hold back the tears that ran down her face and began to cry inconsolably in her brother's arms. Aisha, after her rebirth, could not free herself from the shadow of her past life. She felt as if time had stopped in the year she was 14 years old. But because of Isis's trust, the hourglass of time seems to have restarted its flow. "After dragging my brother along, Aisha's unknown grudges seem to have made a sound, announcing Aisha's innocence to the world. The nightmare that had been hidden in Aisha's heart for 7 years was finally broken. At this moment, Aisha is no longer the Aisha of her past life. She will raise the banner of revenge against the Atambal Empire." Aisha clenches her fists tightly. She confesses to her brother what she feels in her heart. "Brother, I want revenge. I want to discover the truth and prove my innocence. I can't keep evading this fact." Whether it's Elsa's words or Elsa's gaze, everything indicates the determination of this revenge. Isis took a handkerchief from his pocket and wiped Elsa's little face, full of tears. "Everything will be as you wish. I will help you clear your name. I want the whole world to remember your existence. May everyone in the Edinburgh Empire pray for your forgiveness." Aisha and Isis lay down in the shade of a tree. Between the wide trees, the blue sky and white clouds could be seen. The filtered sunlight was very warm. Aisha struggled to keep her tired spirit awake. She said to her brother, "I feel like life now is like a dream, but it doesn't matter if it's a dream. Isis slowly stroked Aisha's small hand. All of this is not a dream. All of us really exist. Perhaps it's because I'm very happy now. Aisha fears losing this happiness, believing it's just a dream. If it really is your dream, I will accompany you to stay here. Sleep well, my dear sister. Isis's words are like a lullaby. The scene changes to Elsa's dream. Dark. The dark space made young Elsa lost. It was Isis's hand that held Aisha's. They smiled at each other. Holding hands, they walked towards that bright light. He is the planner, the one who poisoned Isis and Aisha, Edom, Prince of the Bel Empire. He is also Isa's brother in her previous life, Rakias. Due to the previous weeks, the failure to poison the crown prince of the Emilayer Empire has led to him being very worried now. Furthermore, he has lost the possibility of forming important spies from the Emilayer Empire. For Lachias, this is not only a great loss, but also a painful experience of failure. If anyone finds out this matter is related to the Eaton Bel Empire, then the two countries will not only have difficulty maintaining peace, but it could even trigger a war. Lachias originally wanted to destabilize Isis, causing chaos in the Emil Empire. Then, take advantage of this opportunity to slowly accumulate his own efforts, and his own stains will also be gradually forgotten. They will not become an obstacle to reaching his position. He will even be able to swallow them easily. Chakias said, I have heard that the emperor of the Emil Empire is not a man who gives up easily. Evidence is obtained. In a few years, the relationship between the two empires will completely break down. However, the Idembel Empire also possesses a powerful military force. It will not fear the Emi Empire. Unfortunately, the plan to assassinate Isis failed. The Emil Empire should also be on guard, so that similar events do not happen again. For this very reason, Lachias must calm down, reasonably face the worst of the results, and find the most suitable solution. Lachias slowly raised his foot and continued deeper into the temple. Inside Lena's temple was a huge prayer hall, where normally a group of people could be seen gathered, but today this place was occupied by only one person. She wears a white veil on her head. She prays with her hands clasped. She looks incredibly devout, but Prince Rakias looks at her with displeasure. Are you praying here again? Brother Olafni, she calls him with a sweet voice. And looked back. The white veil and beautiful silver hair. And also the revered golden pupils of the empire. From any angle. He is so kind. She is Lachias's half-sister, Mariana. Do you know why Aisha was able to be reborn? You, Elsa. What was the most venerated god in the land of your previous life? In the world of Elda, each country has its own god in whom it believes. The god in whom the Emil Empire believes is the god of light, Lumines, that is to say the legendary king of the elves. He symbolizes victory and honor and possesses a powerful healing power. He is also known as the god of life. While the Idembel Empire and the Emil Empire worship totally different deities. The deity venerated by the Idembel Empire is Selena, known as the goddess of the moon and the goddess of vengeance. It is said that her character is extremely cold, one could even say frigid, but among the changing gods, she is the most just god. That is why the inhabitants of Eatonbell consider him the supreme god. Selena possesses sapphire-colored hair and golden eyes that look upon the world. When faced with unjust situations, people always first run to Selena's temple, to pray for justice, to recover what is theirs. But the most ironic thing is, this empire that worships Selena did not grant her any justice when Aisha was framed. In the Eatonbell Empire there is a saying, in front of Selena's temple, waiting for the door to approach him, for the enemy's body to appear. In other words, if impious acts are committed, one will face Selena's wrath. Perhaps that is the reason why Mariana always occupies Selena's temple. After Aisha was deprived of her eyes, Aisha had prayed to Lady Selena, "Do I really have no opportunity for revenge in the abyss? If so, then please let me die immediately. And in the next life, do not let me be reborn as a human. Let me be an animal that no one loves, that no one cares about." Why does Mariana always want to have Selena's temple just for herself? Is it just because they venerate her as a saint? Lachias is very curious. Clearly, there are also prayers in the palace of Edenbell. However, they still pray in Selena's temple. The great Lady Selena of Marianne answers Lachesis with a voice full of desire. "But I still feel that praying here allows me to feel the presence of the great Lady Selena more." Immediately, Mariana smiled and asked Lachesis, "Did you come to see me today too?" Yes, Mariana felt very happy about that. Lachesis looked at Mariana. He suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. The image of Aisha from his past life began to appear in his mind. In his memories, she should have a soft and adorable voice. The spring wind blew through her characteristic long black hair, and her bright green eyes always blinked happily, and from time to time she would show a smile to people. Everyone at that time loved her very much. Thinking of that, Lachesis suddenly frowned, and began to have an inexplicable headache. Lachesis felt very confused. "Why does my head hurt every time I think of him?" Mariana, beside him, asked her brother worriedly. "What's wrong? Do you feel unwell?" Lachesis still didn't react. His mind continued, thinking about that child's voice. "I'm fine. I came to find you. I wanted to talk about the Amur Empire." Lachesis told Mariana about the failed poisoning of Isis. But Mariana's answer made Lachesis feel very ironic. Being a bachelor, he felt regrettable about the failure of the poisoning, because Lachesis' head hurts just thinking about Elisa. Was he cursed by Marianne? Lachesis remembers those years. Elisa tried to poison Marianne, and the news of her death sentence spread like wildfire. And although his biological mother was the queen at that time, but to prove that they have nothing to do with this life, he himself sent Elisa to the guillotine. And as her older brother, he still cannot escape the suspicion of having helped harm Mariana. Since ancient times, to become the emperor over all, one cannot have any stain. Fortunately, the other brothers and sisters support my right to the throne, but not all nobles agree. It is very likely that, due to my stain, they will propose other members of the royalty as candidates. The nobles, yes, the power struggle between the emperor is intense, so it was inevitable that they would attack each other, so that the nobles have nothing to say. One must achieve great feats, such as conquering the Amelia Empire. Elisa not only tried to assassinate Mariana, but also implicated me. It's really annoying. Lachesis looks at his palm. He can't help but remember those times. As children, our relationship as siblings was really good. At that moment, Lachesis suddenly suffered another headache attack. Did we ever have a good relationship? Lachesis' expression was like that of someone cursed. Bah, those are just useless thoughts. Memories of people who are already dead. It's useless to remember them. So he concluded that he would say no more, and extended his hand towards Marian. "If you have finished praying, let's return to the palace." Mariana carefully got up from the bench in the prayer hall and took Lachesis' hand, just at the moment she was taken. Lachesis felt a slight tingling in his hand. Her hands were really very cold, in contrast to her icy face at this moment. While remembering that Elisa's hands were very warm, Lachesis slowly approached the door. Mariana watched him silently from behind, showing a malicious smile. But Lachesis, turning around, but missed her expression. When Lachesis turned around, Mariana was laughing very happily, like a beautiful poisonous butterfly. Do you know, Isis, why he lost his mother from a young age? Actually, Isis's mother was always weak and sick. After giving birth to Isis, her state of health worsened. Young Isis stayed at his mother's bedside every day, encouraging her. After his mother's death, Isis felt guilty for everything. She was taciturn. And Isis's grandfather began his action to help Isis obtain the throne. During the time when the nobles were fighting for power, Isis suffered countless attacks. What Isis didn't understand was, why was his grandfather so obsessed with the throne? But from a rational point of view, Isis, as the firstborn son of the empire, after his mother's death, his position could still be threatened, even if the emperor says he will name Isis as the crown prince. But no one can guarantee it. If something happens to his grandfather's family, after the next empress has a child, how will Isis become? This has also made Isis not trust anyone. He can only strive silently for the position of crown prince. A person works silently. However, the recent situation has become more serious. After Alice became Her Majesty the Queen, every time grandfather sees Isis, he always reminds him to be careful of the Queen. But Isis thinks Alice is a good person. No matter the tone in which she speaks or the expression on her face, she is very kind. Isis doesn't want to get involved in the adult's power struggle, and even less so lose his life because of it. So Isis has been avoiding Queen Alice. Since his mother passed away, Isis no longer trusted anyone else. The new Queen Alice tried to approach Isis several times, but every time they met, Isis deliberately distanced herself from Queen Alice, which made Alice very worried about Isis's future. But Queen Alice did not give up. She tried to guide Isis through letters. She even approached to speak to her, but Isis always responded indifferently and did not value what Queen Alice sent her. In reality, these actions were not Isis's true intention. Isis had thought that if someone put aside their identity as a prince and only considered themselves as Isis, it would be great. And if such a person really appeared, she would not hesitate to sacrifice money or even her life. She would spare nothing. Time flies. Queen Alice has been in the palace for a year. At this moment, inside the palace, Alice, the queen, is discussing her pregnancy with His Majesty. Everyone is very expectant about this. They are debating whether the child will be a prince or a princess to welcome the new life. The servants say they will go and prepare the new palace. Unbeknownst to them, the conversation in the tent was overheard by Isis. Actually, Isis really enjoys going to the new palace alone, to play on the nearby hill. It seems she won't be able to go alone again. Isis turned around disappointed and left. She thought she would go one last time tomorrow. The sound of footsteps moving away outside seemed to alert Queen Alice to something, the weather the next day. It's very clear. But Isis, at the thought that this might be the last time she comes here, is full of regret. At this moment, she hears Queen Alice's voice behind her. Isis, I am very surprised by what you are doing here. Since you have come, I will go back. After saying this, Isis walks away with large steps. After the birthday party, Etila de Valilla Pente, Queen Alice sent an invitation to Isis, very early. The main thing is to know if you are free tomorrow afternoon. Let's go for a picnic together. After reading the letter, Isis immediately sent someone to reply to the queen. She will arrive on time. The next day, it was beautiful weather. In springtime, the flowers do not orient themselves to the sun. Queen Alice took Elsa to the garden. It was then that Elsa saw, gently revealing, the gardens of which the Emil Empire is so proud. The servants prepared early for Aisha's family. From Aisha's point of view, there are delicious chocolate cakes and sugary fruits, as well as infused black tea, etc. In fact, Aisha and Isis meet every day. But we had never really eaten together officially. This outing made them very happy. Since Aisha accepted her new family, she is happy every day with the gentle spring breeze. Aisha feels a slight drowsiness, so she gently closed her eyes. And Isis still seemed to be having fun. Although Aisha would like to spend more time with Isis, she still has a child's body, but feels a bit uncontrollably tired. Just at that moment, Isis suddenly asked the queen how children were conceived. Aisha, hearing Isis's question, woke up from her torpor. The air in the courtyard froze instantly. Isis blinked her innocent green eyes, with a curious expression on his face. Although I have searched in various books, there is no trace of how children are conceived. So I would like to ask you, how are children conceived? Isis elaborated on his search for children. Queen Alice seemed a little distraught, and Elsa pretended not to know anything. She quickly closed her eyes. In fact, in her previous life, Elsa had studied this area, and Isis is only 9 years old. She has not yet received education on this subject. Soon, Queen Alice gave an explanation. Before Aisha was born, wasn't my belly round? Children are like seeds. They grow in their mother's body. After 10 months, they mature and come out on their own. Aisha is perplexed. Will her brother believe this explanation? Although it is an explanation to comfort a child, one can see that the queen did her best. Queen Alice, to prove that she is serious, does not have many expressions on her face. Isis still seems a little confused, but it seems he quickly understood. So children are dandelion seeds. After Isis tumbled down the slope, Queen Alice was very worried. Without worrying about her pregnancy, she rushed towards Isis. If she runs like that, Isis hadn't finished thinking when she shouted, "Danger!" The next instant, Queen Alice takes Isis's face in her hands and gently shakes him to see if Isis is hurt. Finally learning that Isis had scraped her knee, Queen Alice seems a little distraught. What to do? How did she hurt herself so badly? After saying this, Queen Alice's eyes fill with tears, and Isis maintained her distant attitude. She shook off Queen Alice's hands. "You don't have to worry about me." "How could I not worry? You bled so much." Queen Alice was interrupted by Isis. It's just a scraped knee. Why make such a fuss? It's nothing at all. Stop fussing over me. Your worry only stresses me out. And you are pregnant. You shouldn't have run so fast. After saying that, he seemed to become tense. He wondered if he was angry. I said hurtful things on purpose. He must be angry. Why didn't I think of acting like this sooner? What I should do is not run away, but hurt people and leave. Isis slowly gets up. I will leave you. Don't bother with me anymore. Rather, do what you have to do. Isis turned around and left. Queen Alice behind her called Isis by his name, trying to make him stop. Isis, after several hesitations, closed his eyes, heartbroken. He must have been hurt by my cold and merciless reaction. He might never write again, and won't bother anymore, and won't even smile anymore. Isis clenched his teeth, holding back his tears. But the next instant, Queen Alice called out to Isis loudly. Isis was named Crown Prince, and Queen Alice's belly grew bigger and bigger. Isis thought that after his hurtful words, Queen Alice would no longer speak to him. But the next instant, Queen Alice took Isis in her arms and told him seriously not to move. Then Queen Alice placed Isis on a rock and tore a piece of her garment to treat Isis's wound. And Isis, she is still completely stunned to be suddenly lifted. Queen Alice suddenly said, "Why don't you take care of your body? I am really angry to see your knee bleeding." Isis is stunned. Is it because of me that the queen is so sad? Is it really because of me? Queen Alice continued, "Do you know how important you are? I cherish you. And you ask me not to worry about you? Why? Because I am not your biological mother?" After hearing Queen Alice's words, Isis felt a little guilty. After that day, Isis did not hear from Alice, the queen, for a long time. Shortly after, Isis had to attend the Crown Prince's investiture ceremony. Isis knew, if they are holding the coronation ceremony so soon, it is surely to consolidate his position before Her Majesty the Empress's child is born. In that case, my grandfather must be delighted. But apart from him, who else would be happy for him? If that's the case, what's the point of becoming emperor? Am I going to spend my life being Theseus, my grandfather's puppet? Thinking about it, Isis is a little annoyed. She has no reason to stay here. But she has nowhere to go. Isis looks out the window. I wish I could turn into a bird and fly away. At that moment, Isis takes the handkerchief that Queen Alice gave her. I couldn't help but think back to Queen Alice's words. Never again ignore your own wounds. Don't underestimate yourself. If you are in pain, say so. Isis looked at the handkerchief in her hand. It seems like we haven't seen each other for a long time. Aisha will be born in a few months. In Queen Alice's country, there are baby things everywhere. Today, Queen Alice specially invited Isis to have tea at the palace. 123. But Queen Alice quickly got to the main topic. I have a favor to ask of you. Isis, hearing these words, was stunned. Grandfather was right. When I become crown prince, Queen Alice will surely ask me to help her. But then what Alice asks of me is to let Isis completely shatter my heterosexuality towards the queen. When my child is born, I hope you will be a good brother. Yes, that child is probably a girl. Hope the two of you get along well. This is the first time for Isis that someone wishes she wouldn't work for others as a prince. Queen Alice sees Isis not answering her question. You seem a little nervous. Am I asking too much of you? Isis was silent for a moment. No, I can think about it. After that day, Isis often went to the queen's palace. Formerly, Isis thought she had nowhere to go. But reality exceeded Isis's expectations. The queen's palace is warm. Isis, every day, would lie on Queen Alice's stomach to listen to her sister's movements. The baby kicked and moved in the queen's belly. Isis was both amazed and happy about all of this. It was also the first time he became a big brother. This filled Isis with satisfaction. The Empire of Emil, for Isis, organized a month-long investiture ceremony for the crown prince. But Isis never thought of becoming crown prince. He just wanted to survive a fierce struggle. And all of this, it is always his maternal grandfather who forces him. Isis lowers her head. In one sentence, she expresses to her grandfather the pressure she should not be under in this power struggle. I am really tired. At this very moment, Isis's tears are about to fall. He clenched his fist. Grandfather, will he understand me? Even if I don't know how he will react, I really want to say it. I was not born to become someone else's wife. Even if my grandfather doesn't understand me, Isis will not regret expressing her thoughts. Just as Isis closed her eyes and gathered her courage to say what she thought, her grandfather slowly crouched down and said to her, "Forgive me, my child. I have known for a long time that you did not want to become the crown prince." Isis, very perplexed, "Then why did you? You might think I'm making excuses, but I was forced to. Your mother passed away very early, and you are the only child she left behind." Your grandfather takes Isis's hands in his. "I just wanted to do everything I could to protect you, but it gives the impression that I want to satisfy my own ambitions, doesn't it? Your eyes are exactly the same as Thetis's. Looking into your eyes, I am reminded that I must do my best to protect my daughter's child." Hearing this, Isis cannot help but recall images of her mother before her death. But very quickly, Isis said to her grandfather, "You warned me that the queen was the enemy. That's wrong. Queen Alice was a good person." Grandfather lowered his head. "You are right. It was grandfather who unjustly suspected Queen Alice. He must still be at the palace, surely busy preparing for your investiture ceremony. Do you want to go see him?" Yixi smiled brightly. "I'm going right away." Time passes quickly. The secret of Aisha and Istambai's rebirth. 7 years have passed. It is Aisha's 14th birthday today. The nanny came to Aisha's room early and urged her to get up, but Aisha dawdles in bed and doesn't want to get up. The nanny says to Aisha, "Today's an important day." Aisha, half asleep, thought slowly. Aisha finally remembered that it was her birthday. An affectionate smile appeared on the nanny's face. She took Aisha tenderly in her arms and said, "Happy 14th birthday." Without realizing it, Aisha had already reached an adult's shoulder height. Her long silver hair now reached her waist. But what pleased Elsa most was that she would soon come of age. Elsa went to the palace reception hall. The king and queen were sitting inside. Seeing her smiling parents, Elsa greeted them in a soft voice. But the king immediately noticed that Elsa was a little tired. So these were Elsa's birthday gifts. They filled the whole room. I was forced to hurry all morning. And all these gifts were sent to Elsa by different countries. Her Majesty suggested that if Elsa didn't like them, she should put them all in the warehouse. Hearing His Majesty's words, Queen Alice laughed joyfully. Since childhood, the Queen has worried about Elsa, her status as a princess in the royal palace. She is reassured to see that so many people care about her. She is reassured. Elsa received the title of saint at the age of 7. In the Emil Empire, there hadn't been a saint for decades. The sudden appearance of a saint in the temple drove people crazy. As a result, many more people became interested in Elsa, but Elsa still complained a little. The gifts received were too extravagant. At that moment, His Majesty suddenly spoke. "Now it is my turn to offer a gift." His Majesty took out a map. Elsa was very curious. Her father couldn't just offer a map, could he? But Elsa quickly realized. Yes, a gift from His Majesty. An island rich in diamond resources. Do you know the extent of the gift for Elsa's 14th birthday? Her father and brother offered her a diamond island, rich in diamond resources. Her mother, a trip abroad, as well as villas in the south of the empire. Now, the Diamond Island is the sole economic source of the Duchy of Leoden. It should not have been ceded to the Emil Empire. But thanks to the efforts of the special envoy Isis, they managed to seize Diamond Island. At that moment, knocks are heard outside. It is Isis who arrived late because of her morning gymnastics. Isis is 22 years old this year. After participating in the coming-of-age ceremony, Isis officially calls Aisha's mother, Mother. Now, Isis is so handsome that Aisha cannot look at him directly. He is both gentle and sincere, and exudes a unique charm. Moreover, he is cultivated, skilled in martial arts, and impeccably beautiful. Isis. It's as if he has become a fairy tale prince. He has countless suitors. He is the #1 bachelor in the empire. But Isis has refused all these incessant suitors. And fortunately, he doesn't have a fiancé yet, otherwise how would he have so much time to spend with Aisha? After Aisha's joy, she remembered that matter. The Diamond Island of the Kingdom of Odin. How was it obtained? Isis looks at Aisha tenderly. Most of them succeeded. I hope you will like this gift. Aisha is still very surprised, since she can bring important ministers of the country. They all agreed to offer me Diamond Island. It's a gift that would really please me. But if my gift for my 14th birthday is a Diamond Island, what will my next gift be? How frightening will it be? Elsa had all sorts of thoughts running through her mind. She quickly shook her head. The queen beside her suddenly put down her teacup. I am not against you showing off your gifts, but mine has not yet been unveiled. Elsa is very curious to know what gift Mom will offer. Then Queen Alice smiled tenderly and said, The gift I am going to offer you is a trip. I have even prepared a villa for you in the south of the empire. The climate there is mild. The scenery is pleasant. It is an ideal place to relax. Her family protects her excessively. Unless absolutely necessary, they do not let Elsa leave the palace. This is also what frustrates Elsa the most, not being able to leave the palace. Isis, as the heir also, she has gone out several times, only she never went out. But Queen Alice seems to read minds. She pierced Elsa's thoughts. In the blink of an eye, Elsa's birthday party arrived in the evening. All the nobles eagerly await the final event of this party. Elsa herself used the power of the saint to heal the wounded citizens. However, gifts from different countries kept arriving. The people interested in Elsa, besides the inhabitants of the Emil Empire, also come from other parts of the world. This fact puts enormous pressure on Elsa. Elsa was already afraid before the banquet began, because Aisha must not make a mistake. Now, Aisha represents not only the Emil royal family, but also the Imperial Temple of Light. Although the Imperial Temple agreed that Aisha could remain in the secular world, it demands, every year for her birthday, Aisha must heal the inhabitants of the empire. In reality, Aisha does not want the title of saint and does not wish to attract attention. But Aisha, after all, benefits from Lumina's spiritual power. To prove her omnipotence and share this grace, as a princess, Elsa must assume this duty. People have shown me so much love. I am very grateful. If the inhabitants of the empire suffer from illnesses, and I have the power to heal them, what reason would I have to shirk my duty? After the poisoning, the story of Aisha using so much of the power of the god of light to heal people began to cause a sensation throughout the continent and aroused a huge reaction. Since the age of 8, Aisha has constantly learned to use the power of spirits correctly. With age and the increase in her mental strength, Aisha's healing powers have become stronger. Under the effect of this aura, every country knew Aisha's name. No matter their identity, Aisha used the power of spirits to heal them. It is also thanks to Rule's comfort that Aisha was relieved. It was then that she heard the door open behind her. Aisha turned around. A boy stood there. His short-cut red hair, like flames, shone in the light. Berwin's arrival surprised Aisha. He was always Isis's close friend. And now, he had become a prince. He is the second in command of the Fear Chamber team. That day, to save Isis, Aisha borrowed the red magic stone from him. And that magic stone is still in Aisha's jewelry box. Aisha intended to return it to him, but hearing him say with a smile that he hoped it would bring her luck, Elsa had no choice but to accept. So Elsa now has 2 magic stones. One was given to her by the young master Bwin. The other was offered to her by Arsene, a friend from her previous life. After preparing his meager luggage, Bwin informs Elsa that the ceremony will begin soon. Everyone is looking for you. Elsa replies, joyfully, Let's go then. Bwin watched Elsa walk away, unable to help but feel that something was troubling the princess. If you need help, you can tell me at any time. After all, we are all here for you. We will certainly help you. Elsa turned around, remembering. Of course, I won't forget. Lord Bwin, thank you. The sacred ceremony will finally begin. Aisha takes a deep breath. In a clear voice, she invokes the ultimate elf, Lemii. Immediately, a golden light appears in the air. A blonde girl slowly appears before everyone. This magical phenomenon amazes the nobles. Is that it, an elf? It was different when I was 7 years old. Elsa now is strong enough to invoke the ultimate spirit. It might be because Elsa invokes him every day. It might have something to do with their conversations. In her constant attempts, Elsa's magic continues to increase, and with age, her mental strength naturally increases. It is also thanks to this that Aisha's healing abilities have improved over the years. Aisha asks Lumiere if he can heal him. Lumiere approaches the patient. A golden light appears again before everyone. At the same time, Aisha feels that she is transmitting within her. The magic offered is very abundant, so Elsa does not need to spend her own life to heal patients. As the bandage slowly unwinds, the patient's eyes, thanks to the healing magic, are restored. At that moment, the whole ballroom, a salvo of deafening applause resounded, and cheers. Long live Saint Limia. Limia returned to Aisha after finishing the treatment. Thank you, Limia. Aisha gently caressed her hand. The man healed by Aisha looked incredulous. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life in darkness. Thank you, princess. Under her influence, the whole ballroom resounds with long live the saint. Cheers. Aisha looks at them joyfully. After Aisha's poisoning, the Eatonbell Empire has shown no abnormal activity in the last 7 years. But Isis did not stand idly by. He trained even harder with the sword to help Aisha take revenge. And Aisha, to master her powers, studied elf magic relentlessly. They try so hard not to relive what happened, caught off guard, and manipulated. Because of the excessive use of spirit power yesterday, Aisha now has aches all over. But she will recover after a few days of rest. Aisha lies on the bed, pensive, but she feels a little bored. She then asks her nanny to bring her something. Aisha smiles mischievously, yes. The place where Aisha needs to go is a birthday gift from her parents. A map of Diamond Island, and another map of the Southern Villa. But which of these 2 places should I visit first? I heard that Diamond Island was ceded by the Kingdom of Riordan to form an alliance with us. The Miller Empire separated almost 100 years ago, but their power has not increased. The foundations of the Kingdom of Riordan are in the Emil Empire, so they must want to develop through the Empire. Moreover, the sworn enemy of the Emil Empire, the Eatonbell Empire, is located on the northern border. Therefore, the Kingdom of Riordan greatly needs an alliance with our country. Every time I hear news from the Empire, Aisha becomes very sensitive. Fortunately, Empress Alice offered her a villa, so I can also relax a bit. The climate of the Southern Villa is warm, and there are beautiful natural landscapes. From summer onwards, nobles would come here on vacation and organize various social events. And Aisha's travel destination was here. This is the first time Aisha has gone on a trip. Even Aisha in her previous life never took a single one. After saying goodbye to her family, Aisha left the imperial capital. On the way to the Southern Villa, this is also the first time Aisha has seen a teleportation gate. His Majesty, because of the royal family poisoning incident, the high priest could not arrive in time. He deeply understood the importance of means of transport. Since then, he has invested a lot of gold in mobile magic cities. That's why Aisha is lucky enough to travel aboard this time. A new teleportation gate. A few minutes are enough to reach the south, but it still takes 3 hours to walk from the gate to the villa. The rugged paths add spice to the journey. Soon, Aisha closed her eyes. She fell asleep. Delighted under the warm sun, the carriage stopped gently. We have arrived. At the sound of the coachman's voice, Elsa rubbed her eyes to try to wake up. Then, a picturesque property presented itself to her view. A turquoise villa stands in the wilderness. Under the gentle breeze and the golden summer sun, the flowers are in full bloom. This entire villa is built of marble. Although Aisha sees a luxurious palace daily, seeing this landscape she cannot help but marvel. It is truly magnificent. Moreover, it is completely different from the opulent architectural style of the palace. You are going to love this place, I am sure of it. What is it like to live in a picturesque villa when one is a princess? The garden is filled with fragrant white roses. The interior is filled with helpful servants and delicious dinners. And even the entire villa is under a magical protection shield. In fact, magicians have a high status in the Empire. So the cost of the magical protection net is also enormous. At that moment, the maid suddenly said to Elsa, "Someone has sent you an invitation." Elsa is surprised. She only arrived here today, and already someone is sending her an invitation. The maid brings the heavy invitation to Elsa. This quantity almost frightened Elsa. They are one of the most prestigious families in the South. And Marquise Blair has a daughter your age. Marquise Blair's daughter is called Rose Blair. She is 13 years old this year. Thanks to the notoriety of the Blair family itself, she was already well known in society, but she had not yet made her official debut. For Aisha, the friends one formally makes are extraordinary. I have decided. I will go to the Blairs. When evening came, Aisha and Lul enjoyed the night on the balcony. Aisha had spent most of her time in the palace. She never had the opportunity to make new friends. Before, the queen had also had Aisha participate in social events, but rather than making friends, Aisha preferred to spend time with her family. Thinking about this, Aisha could not help but think of her only friend, Arsene. Aisha looked at the moon, lost in thought, hoping that she and Rose Blair could become friends. It is true that it is too lonely not to have friends. Lou, you are my friend. Aren't you? Aisha looked at Lou with a sincere gaze. Lou slowly rose from the table. Of course, in Jinling's time, no one ever invoked me. So when I heard your voice for the first time, I was truly happy. For a long time I had been looking for someone who needed me, and finally I found you. It makes me very happy. Without realizing it, we hug again. The first season of Rayon de Soleil is coming to an end. The King of Spirits, whom we have not seen for a long time, gradually appears before the public. However, the appearance of the King of Spirits does not happen in Aisha's reality, but in a dream. In her dream, Elsa was alone, lying on a cliff. Before her bloomed flowers of all sizes. Where am I? Elsa, dazed, sat up, leaning on her hands. Suddenly, Elsa saw blonde hair in the distance. A young man stood at the edge of the cliff. She couldn't help but wonder who he was. Before Aisha could even react, a golden bird flew from the sky to land on the boy's hand. Then the one and the other gently touched foreheads. It is probably the bird expressing its affection to its master. Aisha is on the other side. She stared the man straight in the eyes. Suddenly, the blonde youth turned around and met Elsa's gaze, which woke Elsa with a start. Elsa did not calm down upon waking. Her heart rate gradually increased. After several deep breaths, she finally calmed down. But this dream left her perplexed. Aisha is now in a carriage on her way to a viewpoint, as the weather in the south is warmer than in the north. Aisha is wearing a small blue-striped dress. The maid beside Aisha explains the day's program to her. First, a tour of the Andre Plain. Then, admire the canyon. We will be able to see steep cliffs in the canyon and magnificent landscapes. Throughout the continent, it is renowned for its danger. Hearing the word cliff, Elsa cannot help but think of the cliff in her dream. As time passes, Elsa and her group quickly arrive at the Cascara Canyon. It is a branch of the highest mountain range on the continent. Aisha raised her head and gazed at the view. She could not help but exclaim, but soon Aisha's expression gradually froze. It turns out that the flower on the cliff is the flower that Aisha saw in her dream. At first glance, this cliff is also identical to the one in the dream. A maid beside her explained, "There is a legend about this cliff. It is said to be an isolated place where mysterious species live." Aisha was perplexed. Mysterious species? She could not help but think of that blonde boy. The maid replied, "Yes, that is why humans do not venture there. It is a sign of respect for them. Your Highness, if you have looked enough, we should return." But Elsa was still lost in thought. Elsa clenches her fist. Does she really want to climb up to see? I dare say that once at the top of the cliff she will meet the young man from her dreams. But the idea was quickly abandoned by the maids because the cliff was too dangerous. So Aisha had to return and ask Lore to investigate.